A Muslim, not Muslim, active, not passive, is someone who is actively creating peace on the earth and submitted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But we have work to do on the planet.
When the Prophet ﷺ entered into Medina, Abdullah ibn Salam, who was a rabbi at the time, he said that the first thing that the Prophet said, first of all he said, "Araftu anna wajhahu laysa biwajhi kadhab." I recognize, I recognize his face was not the face of a liar. And then he said, that the Prophet said, "Ya ayyuhan nas, afshu salama wa at'imu ta'ama wa silu al-arham wa sallu bil-layl wa nasu niyam tadkhulu al-jannata bi-salam." O people, spread peace, share your food, maintain ties of kinship, pray in the night when others are asleep, and you shall enter paradise in peace. So it begins with peace, he ends with peace. That's what rhetoricians would call the inclusio theme of that entire statement. It's about peace, almost as if he's identifying himself as the prophet of peace, or the Sar Shalom, Amirus Salam, the Prince of Peace.
Now the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says in a famous hadith, Hadith Rahmah, the hadith of mercy. And this, in traditional Islamic curriculums, was the first hadith that children were taught at 5 years old. The first hadith that they were taught 5 years old. Ar-Rahimuni yarhamuhum ar-Rahman, irhamu man fil ard, yarhamukum man fis sama. Rawahu Ahmad, aw kama qala alayhi salatu wassalam. The Prophet ﷺ said, the most merciful shows mercy to those who show mercy. Show mercy to those on earth, and the one in heaven will show you mercy. How many times did he mention rahmah? 5 or 6 times. Because this is very important to ingrain or inculcate into the child's mind this virtue of rahmah. So the basis of his entire Islamic education is mercy. He said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, لا تدخلوا الجنة حتى تؤمنوا وَلَا تُؤْمِنُوا حَتَّى تَحَبُّوا. None of you will enter paradise until you truly believe, and none of you will truly believe until you love one another. Shall I tell you something that will increase your love? And they said, yes. He says, أَفْشُوا السَّلَامَ بَيْنَكُمْ. Spread peace amongst yourselves. Love God and love of humanity. Love of God and love of humanity. Fakhruddin al-Razi, he said, Al-Islam, al-ibadatu lil-khaliq, wa rahmatu lil-khalq. He said, Islam can be summed up in one statement: worship of the Creator and mercy towards His creation. This is our moral anchor as Abrahamic theists. We're in the millah of Ibrahim Hanifa. And we have different opinion, obviously, with our Christian friends and neighbors and relatives, and our Jewish friends and neighbors and relatives. We have theological differences, we have different types of differences, there's no doubt about it, but the essence of the religion is the same. Now in Sharia, in Islamic law, there are certain rules of engagement. Women and children are never targeted in war. And this is called a tradition that is tawatur. Tawatur means multiply attested. There's no doubt about it. It is simply wrong. Even in pre-Islamic rules of engagement, women and children were not targeted. Pre-Islamic. Even the man who wanted to kill the Prophet ﷺ on the day of Uhud, when he had killed Mus'ab ibn Umair and had his sword out and was charging towards the Prophet ﷺ, he stopped dead in his tracks because a woman named Nusayba bint Ka'b was standing in front of his horse. He dare not strike a woman on the battlefield. This is pre-Islamic rules of engagement. Right? The pre-Islamic Arabs did not kill people who were sleeping. If you look at all of the battles of the Prophet ﷺ, right? Over 20 maghazi, or military expeditions. What are the numbers of casualties in all of the battles of the Prophet ﷺ? Right? In 2 bombs dropped in Japan, over 200,000 people on impact. In 23 years, what are the number of dead people, the people killed in all of the military campaigns of the Prophet ﷺ? What do you think the number is? 1,018. According to Abu al-Hasan al-Nadwi. 1,018. In battle, these were soldiers, about 700 enemy, and about 300 Muslim shuhada, the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. 1,018. The man who came to the Prophet ﷺ, Du'thur, the chief of the Muharrib, he actually woke up the Prophet ﷺ before he was going to attack him. And we know the story of what happened to him. And the way that the Prophet ﷺ is sometimes depicted is primarily as a warrior. And we shouldn't study Sirah like that. We don't start with Kitab al-Maghazi, the book of the military expedition. Start with the Shama'il of the Prophet ﷺ. the outward and inward manifestations of him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is the best way to study about him. Wallahu a'lam.
The religion of Islam is a universal religion. It's a cosmopolitan faith. The Prophet is a universal messenger. The Quran says, this is kind of like our equivalent to John 3:16. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكِ إِلَّا رَحْمَةٍ لِلْعَالَمِينَ. Surah 21, Ayah 107. 21, 107. We did not send you, O Muhammad, except as a mercy unto all the world. So my point here is that every religion is vast. And if you have 1 out of 4 on earth that are Muslim, invariably you're going to have a few nut jobs. 1 out of 4 human beings. There's like 2 billion people, right? The Prophet said in a sound hadith, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. He said, none of you truly believe until you love for your brother what you love for yourself. And a great hadith scholar, Imam Nawawi, he says that in this hadith, the word for brother, which is akh, which is for in Hebrew and in Arabic, it doesn't simply mean your Muslim brother. It means your brother or sister, because the male gender encapsulates the female gender in the Semitic languages. Your brother or sister in the children of Adam, in Bani Adam. If we go back far enough, we're all brothers and sisters. That's his interpretation, and that's the normative interpretation of the verse. None of you truly believe until he loves or she loves for his brother or sister in the children of Adam what he loves for himself. Another hadith of the Prophet, he says, لا تدخلوا الجنة حتى تؤمنوا ولا تؤمنوا حتى تحبوا. Very beautiful hadith. None of you will enter paradise until you truly believe. And none of you truly believe until you love one another. Shall I tell you of something that will increase your love? They said, yes. أَفْشُوا السَّلَامَ بَيْنَكُمْ. Spread peace amongst yourselves. Spread peace amongst yourselves. I got invited a few months ago to an interfaith talk at a church, and there was like 15 speakers. So I was given 5 minutes. I'm thinking, what can I say in 5 minutes, right? I just quoted this one statement of the Prophet. And the organizer of this event was a young woman. She was a PhD student at a Christian seminary. And right after the event, she was crying, and her arms were open. She's running towards me to give me a hug. She said, I had no idea that you guys even believed in love. And this is almost a PhD in theology, mind you. Forget it. God bless if such are the pastors, then God bless the congregation, as they say, right?